If you are desiring to tap into your infinite inner knowledge for the purpose of expressing yourself more fully, and you are not quite sure how to go about it, click on the link below and book a session with myself and my spiritual team, and we would be honored to help you on your journey. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time being here, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for being here. I do hope that whatever I share with you is going to be helpful to you during this process of ascension or waking up to the truth of who you really are. And if you find it helpful, if you find it useful, if you find it intriguing or thought-provoking, which is the ultimate goal, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow. It helps to spread this information to a much wider audience so that ultimately more people in the world can begin to see themselves for who they truly are, as the powerful and unlimited beings, rather than seeing themselves through the eyes of misconceptions, through the eyes of limitations, and through the eyes of fear, which is always very limiting. Share it with a friend or two if you believe they will benefit from this information, and give it a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the chance on this information, and however it appeared to you, however it showed up, chances are you have been communicating with higher guidance, with your team, and you've been asking for guidance or information to help you go through this, as I mentioned, process of ascension. For those of you who are coming back, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being loyal to this channel, if you will. And sometimes some information may not make sense to you right away. Sometimes it will. Oftentimes it will trigger certain emotions in your body. And oftentimes this information will be thought-provoking. And that is my ultimate goal. It's to stir something within you that begins to ask the bigger questions. Questions like, who are we? What is this all for? Why are we here? What is our purpose? And everyone is on their individual journey, on their own unique journey, and everyone's purpose, if you will, is going to be very different. But ultimately, our purpose is to experience life to the fullest. And the only way that we can allow ourselves to experience or to create life to the fullest is when we have a higher degree of understanding of who we are, what parameters we function from, what belief systems drive our thoughts and ultimately drive our behaviors. And I'll share with you what my purpose is. Even though I've shared it before many times, I'm going to say it in a slightly different way today. And this was actually revealed to me about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now, maybe 2.5 years ago, it was just before COVID, I think, or maybe right in the middle, somewhere there. It was in a deep meditation when I was communicating with higher intelligence, higher guidance, my team. And I asked the question, what is this life for? What is this life of Joanna for? Why is she here? And the answer I got was, oh, okay, well, that makes perfect sense. It makes so much sense as to why I do what I do. And the answer was this. My purpose in this life is to study higher consciousness. Why? So that I can rise to the occasion of allowing myself be the best that I can be, and ultimately to live out my fullest potential. And by doing so, by going through the process, I can then share it with all of you. And the deeper understanding we have of ourselves, the more we see ourselves as the true potential that we are, the more we can then choose to live out that potential. The word is choose. Because when we don't know who we are, when that is hidden from our consciousness, then we cannot actively choose to live out our highest potential, because we don't believe there is a choice to be had. And I often talk about choices. In my experience and in the hundreds of people I've worked with over the last 20 years or so, I would say vast majority, probably all of them, all of my clients want to have more choices. So if you have a choice of not having choices versus having choices, chances are you're going to pick having choices over not having choices, right? And this is the critical point of our life right now as species, as the human species, is to begin to realize, or to become more aware of all the other choices that were previously not available to us. Except it's not so much that these choices were not available to us. It's more that we were not able to see all these other choices as a result of our limited perception of who we are. So the more we are limited in the understanding of who we are, the more we are blocked off, if you will, from all these potential choices. So my purpose as Joanna is to help you become more aware of all the other choices that exist in the world for you, by helping you realize who you are on a conscious level, and also who you are not. That you are not limited, although you may have a limited human body. You are so much more unlimited than you give yourself credit for. You are not your body. You are not your emotions. You are not your stories. You are not your beliefs. You are not what you think. Yet all these things create a sort of a blueprint for us in order to navigate through life. And if we didn't have any navigational systems, we would feel completely lost, and that would be very scary. However, most of you right now, especially that we are coming up to the partial solar eclipse, so we are eclipsing that which no longer serves us, or at least there's an opportunity to eclipse something from our lives that no longer serves us. As part of this time, as part of this process, we are beginning to uncover or rediscover our own internal truth, which is more often than not hidden behind what we think, what we believe, and how we or what we identify ourselves as. So to simply put, we are in a process of coming out of our limited boxes. Now, if you think of the idea of a box, which is a structure, right? It is a container. It holds something within it. And in and of itself is a great thing. However, by the same token, box is something that is limited. And we are in a process of restructuring our own limitations. What does that mean? Looking at our limitations and asking the question, is this who I really am? Or is it just a concept that I have become accustomed to thinking that of myself, that then becomes your blueprint for how you create your life? And the smaller the box that we live in, the less potential we have to experience something greater, something bigger, something more magnificent, because we exist in this little box. However, boxes are also what keeps us safe. It keeps us contained. And many of these boxes, if you will, if I can use that analogy, are being ripped apart, torn down. And through this process, we begin to realize that there is more outside of what we thought of as our norm, which is rooted in our own identity. So this is the second part. This is going to be pick a pile message, whatever pile you're drawn to. Notice what message is there for you, and you may be drawn to more than one pile. In fact, probably in each pile there is something that you will find useful, something that will make sense to you. The first part was channeled information that is like an extended portion, and if you would like to listen to that, it's going to come to your email if you've signed up for it, or there's a link down below. Click on the link and it'll take you to a place where you can watch this channeled transmission absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it is your choice. And I do this because it makes this video less lengthy, and what I've observed is that there is certain time when a person listens to these videos, and when they're too long, when I put all this effort into giving you information, but for the most part you only listen to half of it or a third of it, then it's almost like it kind of doesn't make sense for me to put it all in one session, if you will. So I've divided this into two separate different messages, so that if you choose to listen to the extended, you have that choice. You can make that choice, but you don't have to. And it makes these videos just a little bit shorter, which is according to the YouTube algorithm, a lot better for my channel. And at the end of the day, let's face it, if nobody watches this, then doesn't matter what incredible information I am bringing through from higher consciousness. If it doesn't reach anybody, then it's kind of pointless, right? So obviously I want this information to be reached by as many people as possible, because at the end of the day, my passion is to help you experience your greatness and your potential. That is what excites me the most. This is what my private work is all about. For those of you who have worked with me, you know it has changed over time. But anyway, if you want more channeled message, extended version, there's a link down below. Click on it and you will be taken there. All right. So as I mentioned, I am recording this few days before the new moon and the partial solar eclipse. And what is eclipse? Eclipse is literally about eclipsing things out of our life or out of our lives that are no longer serving our higher purpose. In particular, eclipsing anything that's negative or limiting in way of programming that stands in the way of us experiencing and also seeing the bigger truth of who we are, which is ultimately you are a powerful being. And if you don't see yourself as a powerful being, if you don't believe that you are a powerful being, and a powerful being can create amazing things, then that means that there is something standing in the way of you seeing it. And if you cannot see it, you cannot embody it. And if you cannot embody it, you cannot participate with it. In other words, it cannot become a part of you, even though it is a part of you, but you will not participate with it. You will not be in relationship with it. So the greatest satisfaction I get is out of helping people realize who they really are beyond their limitations, beyond the things they tell themselves, beyond the thoughts, beyond their limited stories. And everyone has a story. Everyone also has a limited story that is limited by one's perception. So today, we're going to focus on, the piles are going to focus on what is either needing to be eclipsed out of your life in order for you to live out your potential, or what is currently in the process of eclipsing itself out of your life. And oftentimes, when something is trying to eclipse itself out of our life, we create a lot of resistance, or we experience a lot of resistance. And that's because we have a tendency to hold on to what is known, to hold on to what has been. And that's because what is known and what has been is often relied upon. So if you've relied on something for most of your life, and now that something is trying to eclipse itself out of your life, like a belief system, which is very much a part of who you are, part of your identity, a part of your stance, then naturally we are going to tend to resist that from happening. We're going to resist the process. And the more we resist, the harder it persists, as they say. So we'll see how each individual pile addresses what you might be resisting, what might be in the process of eclipsing itself out of your life, and see if there's any what messages will come through in order to help you release or help you release more of what is no longer serving you. All right, so let's start with pile number one. If you are drawn to pile number one, the first thing I am being shown is the heart. And if you think of your heart as the mind, heart doesn't think, obviously. Heart feels, the mind thinks. But if we move ourselves from thinking and more into our heart, then we begin the process of more being rather than just thinking. Now, don't get me wrong, thinking is very important. We need you to have thoughts. We need you to be discerning. But too much thoughts of negative nature, or too many thoughts rooted in limited beliefs, do not allow us to be present. And that's because we are often preoccupied with a whole bunch of fears, right? And when we are fear-based, it's very difficult to be present. And I'm sure many of you have experienced that. And being present takes a lot of practice. I will tell you that firsthand. One of the first moments I experienced being present was a few years ago when I was in a very heightened state. And I remember being completely in the moment, and I remember going, oh my God, this is what present means, being present means. I was literally absolutely in the moment. And it was literally a blissful experience. And here's the thing. In that moment, I didn't need anything. There was no need, because need is very ego-based. There was no need. The simple act of being present left me feeling completely satisfied. So you are likely, pile number one, going through a process where you are identifying your needs that are rooted in attachments, that are rooted in fear. And as a result, these attachments rooted in fear do not allow you to be present. And when we are not able to be present, we literally rob ourselves out of opportunity to feel fully alive. Because we are constantly somewhere over there, past, future, but rarely present. You are in a process of realizing your potential, which for most people lies dormant within their hearts. That's what I'm being asked to say. So pile number one, you are opening up to a new existence, to a new reality, to something that is less familiar because you haven't been there for a while, but it is weirdly familiar at the same time. In other words, you know the feeling. In fact, it's ancient. It always has been and always will be. But it's something that has not been practiced by you or embodied. And as you allow yourself to become more of that state, more of your truer nature, you begin to realize that all the things you worry about and all the things that preoccupy your thoughts, it's not that they're not important, but they're much less important than you have given it importance, if that makes sense. Okay. Over the next few months, because eclipses often are in effect for about a 6-month period, you will likely find yourself walking through brand new doors, and that's a metaphor. And these doors lead to a new beginning. I almost want to say they lead to what I feel is almost like a new dimension. And in fact, it is like entering a new dimension because it is vibrationally very different. And this process begins with honoring your heart more so than just honoring your head, because the head is full of stories, right? The heart is about being present. The heart is where your spirit lies, if you will. It is a space from where anything is possible. The heart is pure. The heart does not know fear. Fear comes from the mind. And then we protect our heart if we're afraid. But the heart is our connection to all that is. And what I'm seeing is you walking up the stairs and you are leaving a dark place, and that's a metaphor. And you are choosing to no longer remain in this dark place. And when I say dark place, it doesn't necessarily mean bad, but it's a place with limited view and limited understanding. It's a place of limitation. And you are beginning to take steps forward in order to come out, if you will, to a new paradigm. So you are in the process of experiencing massive and magnificent paradigm shift. And this paradigm shift is rooted in your understanding of who you are. Not who you think you are, but who you truly are, which is beyond your thinking, which is beyond your current understanding of yourself. So I'm going to ask, oh, that came out. It flew out. Very interesting. We have leap of faith, and this message actually showed up, I believe, in last week's extended message. So if you haven't seen that, again, the link is down below. It came up. I believe it was in the extended. And this message is literally asking us to take a chance, to step out of the known and to step into something that is perhaps less known, but it's not that it's less known, it's less practiced. And you are likely in your life right now where you are either beginning to take chances or you are being asked to take a big leap of faith. And in this process, you are inevitably learning how to trust yourself much more than you have trusted yourself before. It's about cultivating more faith in you and your abilities. And it's interesting because I am hearing you could be very smart and you could equally be very fearful. Okay, so for whatever reason, I needed to say these words. Okay. Where in your life do you need to take a leap of faith? You are being encouraged to step into something that's a little bit less familiar. You are being encouraged to step out of your norm. Step out of something that always has been, but it's no longer serving you. Most importantly, what are your preconceptions about yourself? What are the limited perceptions about yourself? What stands in your way of you experiencing yourself and life to the fullest potential? What part of you says, I can't, I'm not allowed, I'm not supposed to, I'm too small, I'm not confident, and whatever other stories we tell ourselves. And the reason why you're being asked to step out of this confinement, because it is a confinement, it's a box, is because unless you allow yourself to take this leap of faith, you will never really truly realize your own potential. Okay? Because the box is simply too small. Okay? You are in a process of change, a dynamic change, which is quick change. And in this process, you are beginning to experience yourself in a different way. You are becoming more in communion with your true self. And your true self goes beyond your thinking, goes beyond your current understanding, limited understanding. Your true self is enormous, ginormous. I don't even know if that word exists. It's full of potential and full of possibilities. And that person is you right now. It is only that because you are holding on to limited beliefs that you are not able to experience yourself as that unlimited person. So this is a time for you where you are being encouraged to look in the mirror and ask yourself these questions. What do I think of myself that limits me? What do I think of my capabilities, or what are my capabilities? What do I think are my capabilities? Because there's always something more. There's always something more. You are here to experience your life to the fullest, whatever that means to you. But you will never be able to do that unless you shed your own skin that is limiting your expression. So imagine the idea of a snake shedding its own skin. And apparently that is a very, it's a difficult process, but it's also very scary process for the snake, because apparently in the process of shedding its skin, the snake becomes temporarily blind, which means it cannot see anything. If you imagine that for a moment, that can be very scary. Okay? So taking a leap of faith can, and often is, very scary, no doubt. But you are being encouraged to take this leap of faith despite the fact that it is scary. And sometimes, when we are scared, it is a sign that this is exactly what we should pursue. Not always, but sometimes. Okay? Obviously, if you are being asked to do something that you know is going to be harmful to you or somebody else, that's not what I'm talking about, right? But this is taking a chance. A leap of faith is taking a chance. So that's message number one. Many of you are being asked to rely on your inner compass, on your inner wisdom, which every single one of you has. And this inner wisdom lies within you, but it's often dormant. And it's dormant because we haven't tapped into it yet. So imagine that you have infinite wisdom within you. And this infinite wisdom has answers to all the questions that you have. And it is virtually unlimited, as you are beyond your physical existence. And all that wisdom is within you. And the only way to participate with this wisdom is to go deep within. Because it's inside of you. It's not outside of you, it's inside of you. And what I'm being asked to say is this: you know best what is best for you. But if you don't, then that's something to think about. Because if you don't know what's best for you, then there's a high likelihood that you don't know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, you will likely not trust yourself in making choices and decisions. So if you don't trust yourself, then who do you trust? Perhaps some outside authority. So then you will put your decision making into some outside authority so they can decide for you. But they can't know you better than you know yourself. And if they do, then that's a problem, isn't it? Because if someone else knows you than you know yourself, then there's a chance for manipulation. I don't know why I want to say it. Don't kill the messenger, but I just want to float it out there. Okay? So perhaps this is a message of taking a chance of knowing yourself more intimately, more deeply. Who you are and what you think belongs to you. What you think is always tied to what you believe. Yet what you believe is always your choice. So if you carry within you a lot of limited beliefs, then perhaps it's time to look at those beliefs and ask yourself this question: is this still something I choose to believe in? The answer is yes, continue. If the answer is no, then the next question is, what do you choose to believe instead? And that's something that you're being encouraged to ask yourself these days. Because when you ask a question like this, it allows for an opening to happen, for a door to open, if you will, that leads you to a new story, a different experience. Also, this is what they want me to say. You're not a mouse. Why do you then make yourself so small? For some of you, it's as if you want to disappear. So if this is you, the question is why? Why do you want to disappear? What is it about appearing that is so threatening to you, that is so scary to you, that is so potentially fearful to you? Are you perhaps afraid of being seen? And I'm getting chills right now. Perhaps you are afraid of seeing your true self. And perhaps the reason for that is if you were to see your true self, your identity as you know it would collapse. Perhaps that's what you're afraid of. In my experience, that tends to be the case most of the time. It's not a conscious thing. It's very unconscious. I work with the unconscious mind for the most part, and I help make the unconscious become conscious so that the person can do something with it. And that's a very empowered state to be. So the more conscious you are of yourself, the less limitations you can choose to participate in. Notice the words I'm using. The less you choose to participate in. Because when you are conscious, you have more choices. Look at this beautiful message, poised. Oof, you are ready to fly. The question is, will you choose to? Will you choose to fly? Or are you afraid of flying? Perhaps you're afraid of being free. Why would you be afraid of being free? Well, perhaps because when you're free, you get to decide your direction. And perhaps that's something that's scary. Perhaps you've never really decided your direction. Perhaps your direction was decided for you. Through your limited beliefs, through how you see yourself, through other people, through social media. Take a pick, or all of the above. There is nothing you cannot not do. If you believe you can't do something, then you have to check with your perceptions of yourself. Now, I'm not saying stand at the top of a building, pretend you can fly and jump off. No, that would be stupid. I'm not talking about that, obviously. Okay? I'm talking within the constraints of being a human being. There's enormous potential still waiting for you to be uncovered and discovered while you are still in a human body or experiencing life through a human body. But you are ready to take flight. And this leap of faith is literally asking you to take flight, to take a new direction, to pick a new direction, to choose a new direction in your life, in whatever field, whatever area of your life, financially, relationship-wise, opportunities. 4 to me represents brand new structures, less limitations, less upheaval. 8 is the number of strength. It's the strength card in the tarot. You are in a process of creating much stronger foundation, one which you can rely on. And the foundation that you have been used to, which has many limitations within it, is being uprooted. And what happens when we are being uprooted? We often will feel quite unstable. So you might be feeling a lot of instability right now, but that's okay. This is the process of in between the old and the new. But you are about to take flight. You are ready to take flight. You are ready to express yourself in much more free ways. So if you have a tendency to make yourself small, I have a feeling that's going to be no longer. And if this is you, and I've got chills everywhere, you are likely going to feel like you're alive for the very first time. And that is not a small statement to make. And it feels so enormous and so empowering that at first it can feel scary to feel so enormous. Because if you've been practicing keeping yourself small and now you are realizing your bigness, that small identity of you has to be transformed. It has to die. It has to be transformed into something new. And that is a process of transformation. Let's see what area of your life this is likely to pertain to. 2 of Wands. I was talking about doors and opportunities, taking a chance. For some of you, this will be work related. Some of you, this will be relationship related. You are about to make a choice, make a decision. These are doors opening to you, opportunities being offered to you. And you have to choose, you have to decide which door will you walk through. You can't walk through both doors at the same time. You have to pick one. And the best way to pick, if you will, to choose, is to know yourself. Choose with your heart, also using your intellect. Choosing not out of scarcity, not out of fear, but out of untapped potential, if that makes sense. Okay? Emotionally, you might be feeling quite unstable right now. Okay? That's quite normal and quite expected when we are going through this process of coming out of our small boxes. Also, this choice or this decision may make you feel emotionally all over the place, like you don't know what to do. Okay? And this is what I'm being asked to say to you. Practice self-confidence. If you imagined yourself being a confident person, what would that confident person choose? Which door would this confident person choose? Which door would this confident person walk through? Of course, if you need help with deciding, I am here to help you. You can book a session with me and my team. And by the way I work, I will never tell you which direction to go to. That is not what I do. I will not tell you do this or do that. That is not how me and my team work. What I will do is I will help you see what your answer is within you. Remember, you have the answers. My job is gently to help you open that up and to show you, because that's a much more empowered place to be. Remember, my job is to show you who you are. The incredible, amazing, powerful being. That's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to tell you what to do. There's plenty of people who will line up to tell you what to do. It's not me. So that is you, pile number one. Hello, pile number two. I have already pre-shuffled the cards. And here's what I'm picking up. You are between worlds right now. In fact, this is what came up. You are in a process of change. And it has to do with a commitment. Some sort of commitment. And they're asking me to say this. It is illustrated in this card. So I will explain to you in a moment what I feel this means. But I want to say the King of Coins to me signifies being your own boss, having unlimited resources, being strong in your ability to create in a physical world, and having all the tools and all the resources in order to be able to do so. But you are not trusting that. And the Between Two Worlds card came in resistance. You are resisting potentially something magnificent that's happening. Why? Chances are quite high that you're afraid. You're afraid because you're stuck in your head. You are too much in your brain about it. You are too much in your logical brain. And sometimes when enormous shifts are happening, it's very hard for us to make heads and tails out of it. In other words, it's very hard for us often to make sense out of what is happening. And that's because you're trying to make sense within your limited understanding of who you are. But there is something greater beyond your understanding, beyond your current understanding. And here's what I'm being asked to say. Your commitment has to be to yourself first and foremost. Whatever this commitment is, whatever you are moving from and to, chances are it's a new job or a new career. And I'm being asked to say the word independent. Perhaps you are being encouraged to become more of an independent in terms of how you create your physical reality. Perhaps you are being encouraged to do something on your own, to be your own boss. Male for me, female, doesn't matter. And you're being encouraged to tap into your confidence. And when you are stuck in your logic and in your reasoning, oftentimes we get too stuck in our stories. We get pent up in our stories, in our all the different stories we tell ourselves. Stories that tell us that why we are not confident. Stories that tell us that we are lacking something. Stories that tell us that we can't believe in something outside of our current thinking. And you are being encouraged to tap into your potential of what this King of Coin represents, which is solid stability. By tapping into the true nature of who you are, which goes beyond your current logic and reasoning. And a lot of our logic and reasoning is fear-based, let's face it. It is. It's all programming. And like I mentioned, if you want to listen to the extended channeling about what's happening right now and ego death and the process and what that all means and coming out of our boxes and limitations, click on the link below and you can listen to the extended version, and it's free, absolutely free to you. So where are you currently stuck in your head in terms of where you are going and what you are leaving behind? Okay, so I'm going to just show these to you. Okay. Okay. There is something that you are resisting. Okay. And the reason why you are resisting again is fear-based. Okay. So the question is this: which one of your fears have a hold on you right now? Which one of your fears are you listening to? You are being asked to be an independent thinker. In other words, think beyond what others think, what others feel you should or shouldn't do. Even if it means your programming that is based in somebody else's thinking from your past, your parents, your ancestors. Because you are now thinking in very limited ways. And that will prevent you from becoming this person, which you ultimately are. You are that person right now, but you don't believe it. And if you do not believe that you are that person, you will simply not participate in that energy. You will not embody that quality. You will not engage with that energy. You will not engage with that frequency that is solid and stable and very much independent. You, like pile 1, are still thinking too small of yourself. So the question is this: why? Where does it come from? Where did you learn to think small? Because you've learned it. We learn these things. It's in our programming. It's in our conditioning. It's part of our stories. For some of you, your dad's perceptions of who he was or his ideas and view of the world, which were limited. We all have these ideas and perceptions. But you are still holding on to your dad's or your parents' perceptions of how things should be. Perhaps part of the belief system that you grew up in is that in order to be happy, you have to have a 9-to-5 job. Well, we already know that that is not the only recipe to happiness. In fact, it isn't for most people. It's something that we have become accustomed to, and we kind of fell into that, and that's what we've done for many years. I remember a long time ago when I was still in search of myself and trying to figure myself out. And I always felt there was this potential in me, but I couldn't quite tap into it. I always knew there was more that I could do than what I was doing. But it just wasn't, I wasn't able to grab it. And that's because of my own limited perceptions and beliefs I've held about myself. And ever since the pandemic, the world has changed in profound ways. And how we earn a living has changed. And many people are no longer choosing to be conformed to the old ways of thinking in terms of how to create one's abundance, one's stability in 3D world, money, possessions. Again, I'm being asked to say, be an independent thinker. Now, your logic and reasoning is based in your upbringing. Okay? It's based in your experiences. And some of you might still be stuck in the old ways of thinking. And you too are being encouraged to take a chance. You are, after all, in between two worlds, the old world and the new world. Let's use that analogy. The other message that came up is the Hermit in reverse. Again, for those of you who read tarot cards, I am not a tarot reader, never have been. I could never figure it out. I know the basics. So I go purely, almost always by intuition. And what this is telling me is that you are resisting to going deep within. And deep within is where the eternal truth is. But it is beyond your reason and logical thinking. For the most part, it lies dormant within each individual. And it is often an untapped potential. You are being shown, pile number 2, that you have potential, there's a potential within you to do something that is under the umbrella of independent, gaining more independence, living your life more independently, being your own creator. Okay, doesn't want to stay. You too have an untapped potential, and you are now resisting expressing this potential. Why? Again, too stuck in your head, okay? Too much thinking, and not enough believing, okay? You have an opportunity to make something great of yourself, something even greater than what already is. So if you are feeling like your life has been great, then it's an opportunity for you to experience something even greater. Imagine that. Imagine that. But there's a lot of physicality connected to this. Money, possessions. Again, for the third time, I'm being asked to say to you, be more of an independent thinker. Don't let other people's insecurities guide your actions, because their insecurities are theirs, not yours. But if you're not careful enough, you will make them yours, and they will limit your potential. You are in a process of potentially experience something greater than yourself right now, something more. You're in the process of coming out of your box, logic and reason. But boy, are you fighting it. Oh! You are resisting it like, I'm not going to use bad words. Okay? Let's look at this card for a moment. This is where you are right now, which is kind of gray. This is where you're going right now, which is much more full in color, much more alive. So if you only saw this, right? If you didn't see the other part, you would be like, oh, okay, that's just how things are. But the moment you see this, you realize, oh, there is more to my experience than what I have been experiencing up until this point. In fact, there is so much more. There is so much more. There's something here I am not able to see. Oh, okay. Is this a crown? It looks like a crown to me. This bird, I forget, pelican, right? Has a crown on his or her head. Why? Because he or she is his or her own authority. You're not. Why not? If you are not your authority, then who is? If you are not your authority, then who is? If you don't trust in your authority, then whose authority do you trust? And how do you know that whatever they stand for is right for you? It may not be right for you, but you will never know unless you check in deeply with yourself. Not just with the logical part of you, but something deeper. There is more to you than your logic. Much more lies beneath your logic or beyond your logic. That is not to say that logic is bad. Absolutely, 100% you need your logic. You need to learn how, you need to navigate through this world. Absolutely. But too much of that prevents this from happening, okay? Or can prevent this from happening. And you end up living your life kind of in this gray area, but because you don't know any different, you think that's all there is. But it isn't. Whatever this image says to you, and what I hear is this: I am a powerful man or a woman. I am a powerful man or a woman, and I am my own authority. You are resisting that. Why are you resisting being your own authority? Why are you resisting being an independent thinker? Perhaps it's scary. Perhaps you never trusted yourself to be authority of your life, and you relied on others to be your authority. Many people do without even knowing that's what they're doing. And now to own your authority is naturally scary, because you have to develop trust in yourself. You have what it takes to embody this person, female or male, doesn't matter. You have this ability to embody this person. You are that person underneath what you think. Okay? I don't know how much more I can express this. I'm also getting a letter C. Perhaps your name starts with a letter C. Charlie, Charles, I know this name came up before. Perhaps there's an authority in your life who you trust when you make choices and decisions, and their name begins or used to begin with a letter C, or there's a letter C in there somewhere. Or perhaps you've relied on other authorities too much in the past, and now no longer those authorities are in your life. Perhaps you relied on your father to be the authority in your life in order to help and guide you, and that person is no longer there. And now you have to become your own authority. Take a chance on becoming your own authority right now. Own it. Be the person you are meant to be, not the person you are supposed to be. And that's because when you are supposed to be something, then that means some authority outside of you tells you what to be and how to be. What if they're wrong? What if it doesn't work for you? What if their idea comes from their limited perceptions of themselves and life? What if it comes from their limited view of who they are? Okay. Now, it is important for me to say that it doesn't mean that you can't ask for guidance from other people who you feel have a certain authority in a certain subject that you're trying to learn about. So if you're trying to open your own business and you've never owned your own business before, talking to someone who runs a successful business, which would be an authority in that area, would be absolutely very useful. But at the same time, you still have to use your discernment. Perhaps not everything that they tell you or they share with you is going to work for you. So sometimes it's a trial and error. Okay? So it's about becoming an independent thinker, but also knowing that there are others who can help you with that. So this pile number 2 is very much about becoming your own authority. In terms of your own physical life creation, I have this funny sensation feeling that it has to do a lot with work, how you go about making money, how you bring money into your life. Successful businessmen, successful businesswoman. If this is resonating with you, this is you. This is you. If you don't feel that, if you don't believe that, then you are functioning from a very limited view of who you are. So it's your time now to look at those beliefs and look at those perceptions. And then ask yourself, is this really me? Or did I not allow myself to be something more for whatever reason? Sometimes it's just because we're not aware, because it's usually in our unconscious thinking. Okay. The other thing they're asking me to say is this: be proud of yourself more often. And when I say proud, I'm not talking, oh, I am better than you or anybody else. That's an ego thing. I'm not talking about that. But being proud of your accomplishments and your failures. Why? Because chances are, when you failed at something, when you look back, you've learned something invaluable, which otherwise you wouldn't have learned. So through your failures, you become a richer person. You gain something out of that experience that otherwise you would not be able to have. And you can use that knowledge, that wisdom, in the next phase of your journey. The other thing that I'm being asked to say is, despite your fails, you are not a failure. Maybe you're afraid of being a failure. Again, logic and reason will tell you, oh, I've done this and it didn't work, therefore I'm a failure. No, it just means you went through this experience because you needed to learn something about it and something about yourself through this experience. And now that you have this experience, now you have elevated level of knowledge, and that knowledge will serve you. If you deny that for yourself, then you are denying the wealth of information that is within you. Wealth of information. Now, why would anyone deny themselves of wealth? One thing comes to mind is they don't believe they deserve it. Perhaps you have challenges with deservingness. Perhaps there's a part of you that does not believe that you deserve to experience being this person. Perhaps your dad or your mom or those who raised you had a very low perception of themselves, and they themselves limited themselves from expressing life to the fullest. And you are just following their suit. But you are between two worlds. You're coming out of hiding, whether you like it or not. How you choose to deal with the situation is up to you. But my suggestion would be not to resist this, okay? By being too stuck in your head, okay? Pay more attention to how you feel. Pay more attention to your intuition. Because your intuition is your soul's voice, and your soul knows you more than you know yourself. Your soul is always guiding you, but when we are stuck too much in the head, we often cannot hear it, see it, or see it as something of value, and therefore we will not participate with it. We will not engage with it. Therefore, we cannot take advantage of this valuable information. Okay? When we're too much in our heads, too much stuck in the reasoning, oftentimes a lot of intuitive guidance will be set aside. Okay? So that's what I have for you, pile number 2. And here's what I'm being asked to say. We commend you for making new choices for yourself. Not for other people, for yourself first and foremost. And that's because if you make choices for other people and these choices don't align with you, then you will ultimately become resentful and you will ultimately become an unhappy person. because your own needs are not going to be satisfied. And you're going to feel like you're missing something. And you're not going to feel content. You're not going to feel happy. Okay? So that's what I have for pile number 2. Hello, pile number 3. This is going to be your message or messages. And for you, pile number 3, I feel a sense of excitement of something amazing that's happening. And it has to do with your own reconnection to your true purpose, which is connected to your true self. There is this mystery about the energy that I'm feeling, because to truly reconnect with your true self means to really go deep within. And deep within is where the source of all that is exists. It exists within you. You are in a process of realignment to your true self, to your truth, and to your true potential. It is also where a lot of the choices are that were not available to you before. I talk about choices a lot. And the reason why I talk about choices, having choices versus not having choices, is because in my experience, most people, and I would tend to say almost everyone, would rather have more choices than no choices. Except when we have a lot of choices that are available to us, sometimes can be scary because we may not necessarily know which choice to make. And sometimes it's easier to have just one choice, so you don't have to go through this turmoil of trying to figure out what is the best choice for you. But the inner you, the you that is guiding you every day through this human journey, already knows what the best choices are for you. And that you lies beyond your thinking, your critical thinking. It lies beyond your formed ego, your formed identity. It is beyond that. And you are in the process of realigning yourself with that you. And another way my team wants me to say it is this way. You are in the process of realigning yourself to your true purpose. And everyone's purpose, if you will have a slightly different tone to it. But ultimately, our purpose is to experience and realize ourselves to the fullest of our potential. And the only thing that will prevent us from happening, or will prevent this from happening, is our own understandings, especially limited understandings of what we have of ourselves, or the understandings we have of ourselves. And you are in the process of venturing beyond your limited perspectives of yourself. You are seeking higher and bigger. You are seeking higher knowledge. You are thirsty for wanting to be more, to know more. You are in this heightened state of perception. You may find yourself over the next little while, and because I'm recording this few days before the partial solar eclipse, And as I said earlier, the solar eclipse is about eclipsing things out of our life that are no longer serving our highest potential, our highest purpose. This will likely transpire over the next 6 months or so, but you are in a very heightened state of perception right now. What you used to think as absolutely not real will be experienced by you as real. And that is a very interesting thing. And in many cases, you will be proving yourself wrong. No, this can't happen. No, that can't happen. No, this can't be. And all of a sudden, oh, there it is. It happened. It's happening. Oh my God, it's real. And that's because your deep-rooted perception of you is changing and shifting. Much of it is happening on an unconscious level, but it will become evident to you by the way you start to perceive your reality. And therefore, how you perceive your reality is changing and going to change. Now, perception is everything. How we see things is how we determine our actions or our non-actions. So the very fact that the accumulation of your belief systems, which make up the identity you call you, that is in the process of reincarnation. It's like you are reincarnating while you are still alive in a human body. That's an interesting concept. So I'm just going to ask my team to show me a little bit more. You are literally transforming inside out. And that is to me equivalent of the death rebirth scenario. So pretty apropos for the eclipse season. Okay. And I want to remind every single one of you watching this, but especially pile number 3, because you're choosing this. Your potential is as limited or as unlimited as your thoughts and your beliefs. So the less you believe in something, the less you believe in some outcome, the less you engage in the probability of that outcome becoming your real. I don't think I have to rephrase it. I think that was fairly self-explanatory. I'm just checking with my team and they're saying leave it as is. If it didn't make sense to you, listen to it again or listen to it at some other time. But for most of you who are meant to get it, you'll get it, or you already know. So this is what shows up. You are going through a process of experimentation. You are now in some way experimenting with your beliefs. You are putting forth a certain intention and you are using all your effort towards that intention, and you're beginning to realize that your intention becomes your truth, becomes your real. Let's use that word. And in the process of you experimenting with that, you are beginning to realize just how powerful you are. And that is something to be celebrated. That is something to write home about, as they say. Why? Because ultimately that's the goal. It's for you to remember just how powerful you are and how powerful intentions are. And we can send an intention out, but if our beliefs, our deeply rooted beliefs, our conditioning does not match our intention, then we can intend all we want. Our belief system is going to stand in the way of us making that intention our reality, our real. And they're telling me that you are, or they're asking me to say, that you are in a process of experimenting with your beliefs. You are choosing an outcome, and you are making sure that this outcome, this chosen outcome, aligns with your deep truth. You put your focus on it. You don't attach yourself to it, which is part of this magic, if you will. The less you attach to it, the more opportunity the universe has to gift you your ultimate goal. And you are relaxing about the whole thing. You are going about your day, not stressing about your intention. You just know that you've put out an intention and you are in alignment with your truth about your chosen intention. And you go about your life, and you're beginning to realize how powerful those intentions that are in alignment with your truth really are. And I see you, whoever you are, jumping up and down saying, I got it, I got it, I got it. You got something that you intended, but you didn't attach yourself to it. So it was it came as a surprise, but not really a surprise because that was your intention in the first place. So maybe it almost feels like there's an element of you being surprised at the fact that you actually got what you intended. And then you check with yourself and you say to yourself, is this really what I did? And you are amused by it. You're amused at the power you have to make intentions real. And if you did it once, it means it's repeatable. Okay? You are also becoming, I'm going to rephrase. I was going to say you are becoming more whole, but I'm going to rephrase that. It's not that you are becoming more whole. You are beginning to realize more than ever that you are whole already. And I talk about this a lot. That's because most people that I have met, including myself, have this erroneous belief that we are missing something, and that is a state of lack. It's a state of scarcity. And of course, when we come out of a space of scarcity, we create more scarcity, right? Like attracts like, right? So if we are intending abundance, but our belief is rooted in scarcity, as in I can't have that, then we can intend to the cows come home. Our belief is going to stand in the way of making that intention of abundance real. And you are experimenting with that right now. You are becoming much more aware of how much your conditioning is responsible for what becomes real in your life. And it's interesting because whoever you are, I'm seeing you receiving this gift from the universe. But it's not like the universe just said, oh, here you go. It's the universe can only give you that which you will accept. Because if it gives you something and you're like, no, I can't have it, then the universe is like, well, how good is it for you if you can't accept, right? And that tells me, pile number 3, that you have been involved for quite some time in your own internal cleanup. You have been realizing just how much your hidden agendas stand in the way of you creating outcomes, your chosen outcomes. And when I say hidden agendas, those are the parts of us that are functioning in scarcity, and the agenda is to be safe, to be loved, to be accepted, whatever that is. But it's often fear-based, not always, but I'm talking about ones that are fear-based and therefore limited. And because we're talking about the solar eclipse or the partial solar eclipse and what is being eclipsed out of your life, for the most part, we're talking about eclipsing limited beliefs. Now, your limited beliefs are connected to certain outcomes. So you are likely also in a position where certain things in your life that have been created from an unconscious space and created from a space of scarcity are going to be eclipsed from your life. Anything that is not serving you, like, and I'm getting this specifically as some situation or someone being in control of you, or you feeling like some situation or someone is in control of your life. The universe is going to give you an opportunity to release this situation so that you can create a new situation for yourself that is much more harmonious with who you are becoming. And you are becoming someone who feels much more whole, which means you're not missing a thing. There's nothing wrong within you. There's nothing that you need to complete you. You are already that. And if there were some aspects of you that believed that you need something or someone to complete you, then you have to check into that belief and what that is and where it comes from. Because as a soul, you don't need a thing. You are capable of creating anything you want. In a 3D world, as a 3D human with a 3D based ego, that understanding is mostly veiled to you. For some, it is peeking through and it's now becoming to be more in the open, but for most people, it is veiled. It is not something that they see, that they believe about themselves. And if they don't believe in that, then they have to believe in something else, because let's face it, what you believe creates an identity, and we need our identity in order to navigate through this world, through this life called world and life. Okay. So this card says homing beacon. To me, it says basically that you are coming home to your true self. You are becoming much more in alignment with the truth of who you really are, rather than what you are supposed to be or what you are told you should be in order to be loved, be liked, feel like part of something. All the things that we need in order to thrive, not just to survive. I want to say this, I'm not quite sure what it means, but I want to say, don't assume something unless you believe it's true. Don't assume something unless you believe it's true. I feel like I want to leave that there. If this statement hits you in a specific way and it's like, I know exactly what this means, I would love for you to comment down below. Sometimes I will be given these statements and they're not for me to translate. They're just meant to be put out there. Okay? Truth be told, what is the truth inside of you that either limits you or enhances your life as a human being? This message is asking you to be true and honest with yourself. What makes your real? In other words, what truths make your reality? Because let's face it, we will never create something we do not believe, we do not hold as true. Why? Because we're not going to put energy to it. We're not going to put our effort into it. You're not going to put an effort into something you don't believe in. It's very rare, very rare. Okay? So what you hold internally about yourself as truth and about life is 9 times out of 10, and it's usually 10 times out of 10, is what you will experience as your real. And there's a certain wisdom that comes of you knowing yourself. And this wisdom is very powerful. This wisdom is something that can never be taken away from you. And when you yield this wisdom, when you use this wisdom as your power for creation, you become virtually unstoppable. Because you have the ability to then change what you deem as your truth. So if you hold a certain truth about you, which is a limited perception, let's say, and you become aware of this limited perception through self-examination, through becoming more acquainted with the truth of who you are, through self-examination, through looking within, you can then decide whether you continue to believe in that truth or whether you would prefer to have experienced some other truth. It then becomes a choice. And I'm big on choices. It then becomes a choice. It's no longer something you just do. It's something you choose to do. And then you become your own authority. As opposed to, I want to say the word victim, but I don't mean that in a negative way. Basically, if life happens to us, then we are a victim of life's circumstances. On the other hand, when we begin the process of self-knowing, self-realizing, self-realization, we begin to experience life much more in a ways of us making life happen. So either life happens to us or we make life happen. You decide where you want to be, which one you want to experience. There is no right or wrong. There is certainly no judgment which way you choose to be. But making life happen versus life happening to you is a much more empowered state. There's just no way around that. Okay? So how empowered or disempowered you are depends on what you believe. And what you believe is held deeply within you. I'm being asked to say this. Your soul believes in you. Do you believe in you? We believe in you. Do you believe in you? And if you don't believe in you, the question then is, why not? Why don't you believe in you? And notice what answers come up. And the typical answer, I don't know, is a cop-out. It's an easy answer, but it doesn't give you anything. It's just, it's a non-starter. You have to go deeper. Why don't you believe in you? What sort of limited ideas you have about you that prevent you from believing in you, in yourself? You don't trust yourself? Okay. Acknowledge that. Why not? Why don't you trust yourself? And what I'm hearing is, I don't know how to trust myself. Well, you trust in something. You trust in something. You trust in not believing in yourself. So why can't you trust in believing yourself? What you believe in is based in a certain pattern that has been conditioned into you. And it's just part of the human experience. Don't be afraid to examine closely, to magnify your belief systems right now. Okay? Because there's a huge opening, if you will, for you to step up to another level, if you will. Another level of vibration. Everything is vibration. Fear-based beliefs vibrate a lot lower than love-based, for example, belief system or empowering belief system. They're much higher vibrating. The less we are participating in the lower vibrating beliefs, the more we are participating in the higher vibrating beliefs. And the higher up we go, the quicker, if you will, we begin to manifest. Okay? So, since we are collectively moving to higher vibrations, if we take low vibrating beliefs with us to higher vibrations, then we are then creating lower based scenarios. I'm going to say it differently. I'm going to give an example. Let's just use this example. Let's say you don't believe in yourself because you were led to believe that you're not good enough. Okay? So you take that belief with you to the higher vibration as we are moving. First of all, you'll experience a lot of resistance because there's going to be a push and pull. It's going to be like oil and vinegar. It doesn't mix. But when you take these lower vibrations beliefs into higher dimensions, then you will realize those beliefs much more quicker. In other words, you will create scenarios based on these lower vibrating beliefs, which then become your reality. And because you're stepping up in terms of your own vibration, you're being advised to really take a closer look at your limited perceptions and your limited beliefs. And then simply ask yourself, what is it that no longer serves me? What belief do I hold about me that no longer serves me? And if you are happy with all your beliefs, great. But chances are, if you're listening to this video, there's something they're learning underneath your awareness that may be of lower vibration, and it wants to come out and be transformed. And sometimes it's challenging to see that when it's not in your awareness, but this is exactly what I do. I help people realize their full potential by helping them see their limitations that are usually in an unconscious level or on an unconscious level, and then bringing them out to the consciousness and through various techniques transforming them in the moment. Okay? Remember, you are a vibration. Your thoughts and your beliefs create a certain vibrational signature. That signature goes out in the world and it brings back to you experiences that are of like signature or like vibration. So the less of the lower vibrations you carry within you, the more you will experience more of the higher vibrations. Example, more love, more money, more happy relationships, more contentment, more peace, all the wonderful things that virtually all humans want. Peace being one of them. Okay? Because when you're at peace, any challenge that you may be faced with can be faced in a different way and is often dealt with in a different way. It's dealt with from a peaceful space rather than internal chaos. Okay? You are likely at a new beginning right now as well. You're not quite there yet, but all this transformation, all this inner reconfiguring, if you will, is ultimately leading you to a brand new beginning. Now, this may be new love, this may be new career, this may be new path. It's still hidden from your view, and that's because you have certain things you have to address first in terms of your beliefs before this becomes apparent to you. On the other hand, there may be some of you that are resisting this new beginning. And you're resisting it primarily because you don't believe that you have what it takes. And there is a word of warning. What you believe is generally what you will make your real. So if you don't believe you have what it takes, it's a very powerful belief. But I would encourage you to ask the question, why do you believe that? Why do you believe you don't have what it takes? And if you did have what it takes, what would it look like? Most importantly, what would it feel like? Remember, what you believe is what makes your real. Okay? Please address your misconceptions you have about yourself. And you have many. We all do. We all do. But this is being addressed for you, pile number 3, because there is a new beginning. Either sitting in front of you right now and you're like, no, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And also, as a new beginning is presented to you, whenever that happens, or if it's now, there has to also be an ending to something. So you might be experiencing at crossroads. You might be experiencing being at crossroads right now. Okay? And crossroads ultimately denote choices and decisions. Make sure you make your choices and decisions from a wholeness space, from knowing yourself, rather than from scarcity, rather than from fear-based beliefs and understandings you have about yourself. For this is not the time to put yourself second. This is time to put yourself first, to put your needs first. It doesn't mean to neglect other needs or other people's needs. Not at all. Absolutely not. But when you address your needs first, you're happy. And from that space, you can help others address their needs. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Okay? So this is what I have for you, pal number 3. You are also going through some massive restructuring. But again, we are talking about a partial solar eclipse. So eclipse is about eclipsing things out of our life. So that's what I have for you, pile number 3. I hope this was helpful. If you would like to comment down below how this has connected with you or how this resonated with you, I would be very grateful. Again, if you would like to listen to the extended channeled message about what's going on, ascension, ego death, that sort of stuff, a very powerful message, that link is down below, or it's going to come to your mailbox in your email. Until I see you again, have yourself a wonderful week, and see you soon. Bye-bye. If you are desiring to tap into your infinite inner knowledge for the purpose of expressing yourself more fully, and you are not quite sure how to go about it, click on the link below and book a session with myself and my spiritual team, and we would be honored to help you on your journey. Thank you so much, and have a great day.